Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And I'm very pleased to say welcome to yet another season of GPVWC Sim Racing. Welcome to round 1 of 17 from the GPVWC Career Ladder. And we are kicking off, as we always do here, with Formula Challenge. Joining me, Mr. Matthew Chuggy Churgwin here, calling the action is Mr. Philip Morby. Say good evening, sir.
Good evening and welcome to what should, as ever, be an entertaining evening.
Absolutely, and of course, joining us on the cameras, very kindly, is Mr. Cameron Brewster. Say hello, sir, if you would like.
Hello, everyone.
Excellent. Yes, we are here, and it is good times. We are here, of course, after our off-season break, and we are here to begin our world tour of some of the great racing circuits from all across the world. And of course, the Career Ladder is a wonderful platform because you'll be able to develop from the Open Series, which is racing right at this very moment, through Formula Challenge, all the way up to the heady heights of Formula 1. Only here at the GPVWC, of course, do you get that kind of progression in your racing. But anyway, the Career Ladder is here. We are pleased to be bringing you some action from it, and we are here at Melbourne. The Albert Park Street Circuit. It is a fantastic venue. Lots of, a little bit of everything in terms of corners and setup strategies and everything else. We've been racing here in Formula Challenge as our opening round for the last 2 years, and interestingly, no one has been a repeat winner. We might have the opportunity with Whoopi Hoekstra to get our first repeat winner here on this circuit. But anyway, David Yunt and James Johnson set themselves up very nicely last year. Both of those two winning the first and second races last year, set themselves up very nicely for a good championship run. So we'll have to see if anyone in the field today can repeat that. The weather is looking to be cool but cloudy. We might see a little bit of rain, who knows? But we find ourselves with a grid of very closely matched drivers, and it's going to be a true spectacle, I think is the only way to describe it. And as we are in qualifying right now, we have 8.5 minutes to go, and we've got a very, very, very close fight at the moment for the top 5.
I think also we should point out for this Formula Challenge this season, a lot of new names, which we've been having fun this evening, quickly trying to learn how to pronounce properly. I'm sure we will get them wrong during the season, so apologies in advance for that. But very nice liveries. Been having a look through them. Some a lot of red teams should keep us kind of occupied trying to work out who they are. I'm currently looking at a wonderful green Scuderia Basilia of Jari Brupaka. There you go. That's getting the names totally wrong to begin with, and interesting shortcut at the moment. But he's currently at the back of the grid, but I'm sure he's going to bring himself back up nicely.
Yes, and let's flip, why not? Let's bring you our story so far here in qualification. Starting currently in P1, we have Rasmus Starlo in the Bastavik Grand Prix car. He is followed at the moment by Eric Strachan, driving for Ice Cold. That's the biggest gap, in fact, we've seen in qualifying so far, actually. Nice 2-tenth gap between Rasmus and Eric there. Then look at this. We have, within a few tenths of a second, we have Balint Hammer, a new name, driving for Drake. We have Tommy Osgaard in the Centurion Grand Prix team. And we have Sandeep Choda, of course, a returnee from last year. Good to see Sandeep's come back, all within very close proximity. And that's true, actually, all the way down. We've got currently the top 13 within 1.2 seconds of each other. So very, very close. Should prove for some truly fascinating racing to be had this evening. The format has not changed. We have 2 races for you tonight, over 15 laps, with the second race having a reverse grid. We'll find out what that reverse grid number will be in the interval between the first 2 races. But so many cars so very close together that just looking at it right now, we have almost a full grid. Almost the whole field is only covered by 3 seconds, so incredibly close. And I'm sure we're going to see plenty of racing this evening.
So I'm currently looking at Tobias Olsen in 8th place. In fact, he's just started a lap. So, he's just gone second for that lap, actually. Just under 2 tenths behind Rasmus. So currently a Bastavik 1-2. It's not looking too bad for them at the moment, but still just over 6 minutes to go.
Absolutely, and very nice tie out there from Tobias. You'll be pleased with that. Of course, we have an unlimited number of laps, so you can, of course, with 15-minute time frame. You must, of course, return to pits to get fuel and that kind of thing. Very, very nice tiny lap. Of course, there is still time for the others to improve, and we've seen some very, very, very close times throughout the week on the practice server, and we saw it again in official practice just a few moments ago as well. So plenty of very close drivers, and I keep mentioning this. It is good. I think going to be the story. I think it's easily one of the strongest Formula Challenge fields we have seen in a long time. But yeah, a good thing to watch. Anyway, I'm just hearing from our cameraman extraordinaire that Mr. Thomas Jacobs is on a lap. So
he's currently warming up actually. For
right,
a hot lap at the moment. He's
Shall we
currently
ride
down
on
in 16th place. He's just going through sector 2 now. I'm hoping we'll catch up with him when he does his lap, and I'll do an onboard with him. Just currently seeing where everyone else is currently. We've got currently the top 12, less than a second now. Yaden Wright just outside that 1 second barrier, but I mean, I'm just going all the way down the field, and most cars within 3 seconds of the fastest guy for a 1 minute 35 lap. That's pretty good for the first race of the season. Obviously, people are still kind of understanding their cars, understanding the best setups. As Matthew said, it's an interesting balance here between your top speed and some very fast corners that you really want that downforce.
Absolutely, and of course the other thing that the camera won't pick up is just how bumpy this surface is. You'll see plenty of sliding. Quite a few cars. Fortunately, there was Simon Smith off just before the final complex, but Mr. Jacobs now is coming around the final corner, so I will stop speaking. And Phil, why don't you take us around a lovely quick lap here of Albert Park?
So, yes, it's Albert Park. It's been a similar layout for many number of years. Many people are familiar with it. 3.3 miles long, or 5.3 kilometres. We're just going into turn 1, Brabham corner. Nice tight right-hander, and opens out into this long left-hander of turn 2, Jones. A nice run down under the trees where people will be really picking their braking spots. Hard braking into turn 3, which is Whiteford. Be against one of the slower corners, I think, on the circuit. As we get into turn 4, it's kind of not so much time to think about. Be very careful, that wide rumble strip there. That will throw you out. The fast turn 5 with a nice long run down parallel to Albert Road into turn 6. Again, medium braking zone, you want to kind of let it flow in, and as you get the turn 7, flat out through here, and turn 8, a long right-hander. We're going into, is that sector 2 we're in at the moment? We're going into turn 9, Clark Corner. Again, hard on the brakes, but you need a good exit here that sweeps the long, open turn 10. Again, you'll be seeing a lot of slipstreaming here, and this is where the fun is, because turns 11 and 12 are near flat out. As you're trying to, especially if you're trying to slipstream a car like Thomas is here, a little bit of downshift, then get that really good exit, and he's going to get a nice slipstream through turn 12 as we head towards turn 13 of Ascari. And is he going to be looking up the inside? Doesn't want to mess up his quali lap. Hard braking for these two right-handers of Ascari and Stewart. Oh, Billis is running a bit wide there. He's holding up Tom a little bit now. So going to turn 14. We've got turn 15 of Prost again, heavy braking, down quite a few gears, and you've got the pit entry on the right here, but we want to hang left and then sweep round turn 16, the final corner, get a good exit, get that slipstream, and I think he's going to be on for a good lap here. Hopefully he's going to improve. He's currently 1:36.6, and he's now hasn't improved. It's probably Rebellis holding him up a little bit there.
Unfortunately, it looked a very, very good lap apart from that, and as we might have seen, just a little bit of a clip of the inside curb there, and you saw the back got a little unsettled, so yeah, very, very close. While all that's been happening, we've had a bit of a shake-up at the top. Rasmus Salo still leads. He is our provisional pole man. Eric Strawn, though, has taken a huge chunk of time out, now just 0.003 of a second between Strawn and Salo. Strawn now also splits the Bastavik Grand Prix cars as well. Olsen, he is now in third position. Valiant Hammer for Drake, he still sits in P4. And rounding out the top 5, we still have Tommy Usgaard for Centurion.
Oscard's currently just going out the pits now, so he's having another go. He's probably changed his setup. 1:50 to go. He's got more than enough time to get round and get the lap in, although he's taking a very interesting line through turn 1 there.
Absolutely.
Just getting out of the way of these cars that are currently on laps. I mean, the track is very busy at the moment. It's quite a lot in Sector 1, and Sector 3 is looking a bit emptier. But,
I would say, yeah, most of the cars out actually on track are all in Sector 1. Just keeping an eye on the map here. Literally, there is not enough space, or there is just about enough space to have a couple car lengths almost. But yeah, we'll have to see how Osgard deals with the traffic, and well, you never know, might play the binder, let the track warm up nicely, get those tyres nice and sticky, and you never know, might pull a little slipstream here or there and better his time all the same. No, it was very good to watch Tom actually go around there a few moments ago, because what was interesting to see, you mentioned in particular going through 11 and 12, you could see he was really committed going through the fast left and right chicane complex there in Sector 2, or just going to Sector 3, I beg your pardon. And it's going to be interesting to see. I actually found myself driving last year in the very first round of Formula 2. They actually caught me out because I deliberately went for a high downforce setup, and you catch cars so quickly through there if you have that extra bit of downforce. Really will be fascinating to see who has gone with the high downforce approach to try and optimize their speed and faster sections, and well, who has gone against that, gone to optimise lower speed and get mechanical grip to try and build up their lap that way. But a true melting pot of approaches, of strategies, and of thinking. And as we're literally rounding into our final couple of seconds, we have Osgard currently in P5, of course. He's just gone across the start-finish line. We'll stay with him on his lap here, see if he can get himself a better time. We've got the final few seconds of qualifying just expiring. Everyone who is now on a lap will, of course, be allowed to complete it. But after that, we'll start to have our finalised grid. Race one here.
I'm just looking at Hoekstra has finished and not improved there, so he's going to be starting around 11th. Yaden Wright, I don't think has improved either. He's currently 15th. I'm just seeing if there's any movers and shakers at the top there. Strand's just going through and hasn't improved, so he is currently second. Rasmus is in the pits, so that's Rasmus on pole.
It is at the moment, unless someone like Osgard can improve. He's had a pretty tidy? Yeah, very tidy Sector 1 so far. He's in Sector 2 right now, just coming through turns 9 and 10 onto this critical little back straight, although it's a curve. Willis is nearby. I think he will be benefiting a little bit from slipstream, a little bit of bottoming out as we go down into 11. Nicely through there, into 12. Just takes a little bit of the curb. Car becomes a little unsettled, but you see how much time he gained on Willis there. Just getting that, keeping the momentum as we now run down towards 13. I think unfortunately Osgard's going to find himself in a similar position to Jacobs earlier. Don't think he's going to be able to get past Willis here, and it's going to compromise his lap, which is unfortunate. But Osgard right on the gearbox now of Willis. Will he try something down into?
He's very careful. But he needs to be very careful. I mean, Willis is still on a lap, so he may be holding up a little bit, but he's still doing his own lap. Let's see, is Willis going to improve? Where is Willis at the moment? I can't see him on my board at the moment.
Osgard does not improve. He stays P5.
And Willis doesn't improve and is down in 32nd, I believe.
Right, so I believe we have a few more drivers just making their way around. Strand, by the looks of it, is the last man who is certainly motoring at pace. I don't know if he's on a lap or not.
I think he's already done his lap.
We'll
find out in a minute here.
Turn 15, and he's coming to the pit lane. So that should be that. So our top 10 from round 1 here in the Formula Challenge in qualifying. Rasmus Salo on pole for Bastovic. Eric Strand P2 for Ice Cold. Tobias Olsen P3 for Bastovic. And 4 will find Ballant Hammer for Drake. And rounding out the top 5, Tommy Osgard for Centurion Grand Prix. Then we have Sandeep Choda. Phil, please, sorry, take away.
I was only going to mention we got the Bastovic guys in 1st and 3rd, so it's going to be really interesting going down to turn 1 with Olsen on the gearbox of Sala at the start there. But yeah, Sandeep Choda for Team Proline 6th. Valko Javi for YTF1, which we have all commented looking a very nice vehicle. Martin Lepasa for Drake Racing in 8th. Now I'm ready for this one. Bent Chupanek for Team Proline in 9th. I actually asked him how to pronounce his name. He said Chupanek, so hopefully I've got that right. And Jesper Nilsson for Ice Cold in 10th. A nice little top 10 there.
Absolutely, very, very close. So we have mentioned this. I will continue to mention it. I find it fascinating. We've got such a close field this year. I mean, we had the superlative. Well, there wasn't a good enough superlative for last year's Formula Challenge winner, which was Petter Burlak. He, quite frankly, drove away from the field. But by the looks of it, we've got a very, very much closer field this year, and I think it's going to be see who will come out eventually on. Of course, that's a long way away. We're in the end of this 2015 year, but we've got plenty of racing to do before then and now. And of course, the Career Ladder is only one of the very many series that we have here at the GPVWC. You're into your open wheel driving. Well, we have the Career Ladder going from GP2 cars effectively here to Super Cup, which I prefer based on Formula 1, a little bit quicker. And of course, we have the Super Creme de la Creme, our version of Formula 1, all racing on world-class circuits from all over the world, of course. But we also have new for this year in the open variety, the Atlantic Series based on IndyCar. That will be a fascinating thing to keep on. It will be running on R Factor 2, and I'll have the privilege of commentating on that. So if you're into your IndyCar, keep an eye out for that one. And of course, we have tin top stuff as well. We have World GT returning this year, endurance racing, as well as touring cars in the form of ITC, the Touring Cup. And of course, we have our Porsche series as well, or I should say, the World Sport series, based, of course, on the very successful Carrera Cup model. So all sorts of racing to get involved in. And if you want to partake, head on over to gpwc.com and be able to join in. So plenty to look forward to, Phil, this year. I think race one's going to be a cracker by the looks of it.
I think it is going to be a cracker. I'm going to take this time to talk about one of those series that we've mentioned. Another series, the Downforce Open Series. Downforce Radio Open Series, I should actually correct myself. So Open Series is an opportunity for pretty much anybody to join up and have a go at racing kind of similar type vehicles. And we had our first race just earlier before we started broadcasting. So we had a qualifying grid of top 5 of Bacalo, Weisenmuller, Fournier, Cabrera and Wanimald. Again, I've probably got those names wrong, so apologies. And it was Weisenmuller from second who actually managed to get the victory, just ahead of Bacalo. Fournier kept his third, and Cabrera kept his fourth. And it was McCready who actually started sixth, who gained a place to get fifth. I noticed Wanimald sadly didn't finish the race. We weren't able to see why, but hopefully he'll be back for another one in a couple of weeks' time. But yeah, some great racing, 15 laps, and I think everyone enjoyed it. It was a very big grid for Open Series. I mean, the whole point of Open Series is that you can kind of it's a platform to which you can show yourself off to other team principals and say, I'm here, I'm quick, sign me up. And I'm sure we'll see during the season a few drivers in Formula Challenge changing as people in Open Series get promoted. And it looks like Bacalo and Wiesenmuller have started rather well.
Absolutely, a great part of course, the career ladder. It gives you that opportunity to get your name out there, get noticed, and actually several of the drivers on the grid today came through Open Series. Great to see that it's already delivering some fantastic, drivers into the career ladder proper, and by the sounds of it, a great race being had there, so well done all. And as you said, great to see such a full grid as well. Anyway, so we are in warm-up. We just have a few moments remaining here of drivers getting used to perhaps their cars on a heavy fuel load. Of course, a very different machine to drive these Formula cars with a full tank of fuel compared to them being hyper light on a qualifying run. And this Albert Park track, it's a street circuit, it's bumpy, it might not look it, but it really is a challenge. And I can certainly remember from last year, these cars with fuel in them, they will find every single crest, every single crescent in that tarmac, and it will give you a heck of a ride. And it just takes one moment of balance, or the car being out of balance, I should say, and you can end up in a wall, and I did twice. So yeah, I'm not cut out for these things, hence why I'm commentating. But anyway, it should be interesting again to see how people have approached setting their cars up, of course, to be quick, to try and avoid that problem. And, it seems that so far, anyway, everyone's gone slightly different in terms of we've seen high and low force, downforce setups. But we have, of course, got a very close grid. So it's all good, all good. Looking forward to the first race of the career ladder this year.
I remember practicing around here, so I actually did the Bahrain race. I remember having a go around Melbourne to get an idea of lap times. And yes, I do remember my kind of steering wheel being shaken heavily from the feedback that we got from the bumps in this circuit. Also, it would be worth looking during Sector 2, that long left hand of Turn 10, sorry, all the sparks flying from these cars as they sit very low to the ground, as we're coming to the final few seconds of warm-up before we get to the grid.
Absolutely. We won't call out who's going to be our ones to watch, because, but frankly, I think everyone's going to be the one to watch. Of course, Turn 1, a very heavy stop into a corner which really only has just about enough room for a few cars. So hopefully we won't have carnage. We'll have to wait and see what happens, of course. So hopefully everyone will get round and have a good race. There is a regulation. Everyone has to use launch control. Our race director this evening, Chris, is just reminding everyone of that fact. And we'll hopefully have everyone away and racing nice and cleanly, nice and safely. And I'm sure with a full grid, we're going to be seeing plenty of action. If you've got anything you'd like to share with us, feel free to do so. We are at GPVWC Live on Twitter. We'll try and pick up any tweets you may have in the interval, which we'll have after race one. And with that being said, everyone is now just getting their final few moments of warm-up done. And we are almost ready to go racing. All the drivers are wishing each other luck. Let's see what happens. We are here for the first race of 2015. It's going to be a good one.
I hope so indeed. Yep, we're just waiting a few moments for the admin just to set everything up. You'll hear our good old R-Factor man saying to get people leave the grid, and that's usually quite loud. I'm just kind of preempting whether it's going to happen as we wait and see.
I think we are just waiting for the final few cars now to complete their laps. Certainly everyone's been alerted to the fact we'll be migrating in the very, very near future, so we're just waiting on that to occur. We'll hear our good friend, the R-Factor man, of course, call out the grid, or time to leave the grid, and we'll be ready to go racing. So what we will do once we get to that point, of course, is we'll run through the grid completely. Here we go. The grid is now being set, so we are just about to go. And with that, we will try and call as much action as we can throughout the race as we see it. Of course, though, our drivers, they do like to record and discuss and, well, preserve their races. And I'm sure if you head over to the forums, there'll be plenty of drivers doing that. So do keep an eye out for perspectives and videos and everything else. Anyway, everyone is now in position, ready to race. We'll now wait for the transition to occur.
Attention grid, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
We are ready to go racing in 2015.
It's going to be an exciting season, I feel. It's the first whole season that myself and Matthew Churgwin have actually done together, because we obviously joined in partway through last season. So I'm kind of excited. It feels like a first day back at school kind of atmosphere.
It really does, and hopefully no one will be put in the naughty corner for doing something silly. We'll have to wait and see. The grid is now forming, however, so we'll just wait another few more seconds just to make sure everyone gets out to grid. And my goodness, look at that! Look at that field of cars. First of all, the cars all look delightfully beautiful, but a full field. Oh yes, this should be good. Anyway, let's run down your Race 1 grid. Starting in pole position for Bastavik Grand Prix, we have Rasmus Salo. Starting in P2 for Ice Cold Racing, we have Eric Strahan. He is followed by the second Bastavik car of Tobias Olsen. Barnt Hammer on debut for Drake Racing. He will start P4, and rounding out the top 5 will be Tommy Osgaard for Centurion Grand Prix. Sandeep Choda in the the first Team Proline car will be starting P6. Timu Valkajavi for YTF1 will be starting in P7. And Martin Lipasa in the second Drake car will be starting in P8. Bent Zupanik will be driving the second Team Proline car starting in P9. And rounding out the top 10 will be Jesper Nielsen for Ice Cold Racing.
Wupke Hofstra for Epic Racing in P11. Lars Brugman for Mad Cape Racing Team. What an awesome name. In P12. Hansko Mebius, Cosmo Autosport are back in 13th, with Ari Nemainen in for Kajala Racing in 14th. Yaden Wright in Triple 20, I think my favourite livery on the grid so far, in 15th. Thomas Jacobs in the Dogecoin Racing car in P16. And we've got the other Kajala Racing car of Lewis McLeod in 17th. Tommy Ajala for Racing Team Schroten down P18, with Ollie Pelkonen for Katala Motorsports 19th. And 20th place, the other Cosmo Motorsport of Richard Coxon.
Then in P21 we have Timu Toika driving for YTF1. Bruna Sosa Ferreira will be starting this race from P22 for Scuderia Basilica. Mad Cape, or the second Mad Cape Racing Team car, driven by Adam Wright tonight. He'll be starting P23, and in P24 for Viking Racing will be James Ross. P25 will be Andres Pestos for Zedric Racing. Arndran Zilstra will be starting P26 for Triple 20. And the second Centurion Grand Prix car will be driven tonight by Victor Silva. He'll be starting P27. P28 will find Dennis Mitchell for Deltec Racing. He is followed by his teammate Adam Osgar in P29. And rounding out the top 30 will be Mike Schroep for Epic Racing.
We've got P31, Justin S. Rebellis for Katana Motorsports. Ben Willis in 32nd for Cedric Racing. Mike Bell for Arrow International Racing. I think Arrow International is actually my favourite livery, in 33rd. William Tringus for the other Dogecoin Racing car in 34th. Simon Smith, our Comsci Smith, our favourite driver, I think, well, one of the favourite drivers for the media team, 35th place for Backmarker Brigade. The other Arrow Racing vehicle of Sam Jones in 36th. Yari Brupasha, I probably got that wrong, for Scuderia Basilia in 37th. Ollie Woods P38 for Racing Team Schroten. Samio Cabrera for Downforce iZone Racing. Thomas Hinds, Viking Racing in 40th. And then at the back we've got Andreas Walters for Backmarker Brigade.
In P45, it is indeed. We've got 42 runners and riders this evening. Plenty of drivers, I'm sure, for plenty of action. Our front runners have actually been on the grid for quite some time. We've got such a large grid that everyone is only just getting into their grid boxes now. Let's see if we get a good clean start here to race 1. We wait for the red lights to come on, and we will be racing here for 2015 in Melbourne. 1 light, 2 light, 3 light, 4 lights, 5 lights, and we are racing! Good start from Strahan. Oh, a superb start there from third row. Who is that? That's Sandeep Choda. Great start in the Team Proline car. Might have been a jump. As we got... Oh, Choda, he's really muscling his way through into third. A little bit of contact there. It looks like we have a bit of an incident down at turn 1. but everyone pretty much just about getting their way through there. We have Salo from Strawn, from Hammer now, taking the place back down into turn 3. Salo, though, goes deep. He goes deep into turn 4 and is really under pressure now from Eric Strawn as they now head through 5. All go here in Sector 1.
Osgard went backwards at the start there. I don't think he had the launch control. Tommy Ajala's gone round and lost his front wing, I think. He's now down at the back of the grid. And yeah, about 5 cars were involved in that incident at the start.
Goodness me, we hope that there wouldn't be dramas, but there has been dramas, and that's a real pity. We still got, though, running, apparently P2 according to this, but I'm pretty sure he was in the lead. We have Eric Strawn. He's now actually really challenging Rasmus Salo for the lead. We're running along this back straight between 10 and 11. Who's going to be brave? It's going to be a little tricky down on the first lap, but Salo takes the line. He's got no cars ahead of him. He can go where he likes. Strawn, though, still in hot pursuit. And we've got Hammer for for Drake. Right on Strawn's gearbox. This is going to be fascinating. Strawn really good on the brakes there, carrying a lot more momentum, perhaps just braking a little bit later down into 13. And as they run through 14, Salo now coming into 15 and 16 to complete his first lap. Still in the lead. Plenty of action, though, in amongst the top 10.
Olsen had a big spin there at turn 12, started to cut in there and lost a lot of places. I think his car's okay, but he went way backwards down the grid, down the 34th.
Good start from Zupanik. He's up to P6 for Team Proline, just behind his teammate. Otherwise, Lars Brugman, another good start. Although, where is he? I've just lost him. Oh, there he is. He's in P7 for Mad Cape. A good start there. And, yeah, we have got all sorts of moves still going. We've got Nilsson and Hoekstra. Hoekstra, a nice move there for P9. Hammer. I saw a little bit of movement there, as I think a car just went round, or is that... I think that's just a car filtering through the grid. I think that is just our factor catching up. So, we still have leading at this moment Salo from Strawn, from Hammer, but all three very close together here on lap 2. Plenty of action at the front. I'm sure it's the same as in the midfield, Phil.
Yeah, I'm just having a look. I mean, the cars obviously being on lap 2 are very close together at the moment. Coxon's kind of in 17th, got a bit of a gap there, but Oscar and Sam Jones are fighting right behind him to get into turn 10 there. Nope, they're keeping it fair at the moment. That's alright. Nothing else really to put at the moment. Oscar trying to fight his way back up the grid. Currently all the way down in 25th. Sadly had a terrible start.
That's a pity. Another mover and shaker, Tom Jacobs. He's up to P12 from P16 on the grid. He's moving well in that Doge car. Wow. And also moving and shaking is... Oops, sorry, no, that was another bit of latency on my end. Hang on, I've come across an interesting fight now. Bruce Zepanik for Team Proline, he's got past his teammate Sandeep Choda there, and Lars Brugman is very close. So a nice little scrap potentially here developing for P5, 6, and 4. As I've said that the wrong way around.
7, 8, and 9 are also fighting each other into turn 1 here. Lepasso, Hoekstra, and Nilsson are really close together. Drake and Epic getting very close through turn 2, and it looks like Nilsson is going to take Lepassa as Hoekstra's already done him as we go into turn 3, type right-hander. He's got a bit of a line. He's going to try to go to the outside to get the inside for 4. He's going to try and hang it out there. He should have the inside line for 4 now. A little bit of rubbing there. Need to be careful, lads. They're side by side through turn 5 now.
It's amazing racing we've got. There's so much going on. It's very hard to keep track of it all. At the front, Rasmus Salo, he still leads, but Eric Strawn is the closest I've seen him yet. He's was really up close and personal with Salo's gearbox through the previous couple of corners going out of Sector 1. Oh, and I think he's got a good runner here out of Turn 10. He's really putting the pressure here on Salo. It's going to be difficult to get round him on the outside. He's going for the inside. Oh, I think he's just thought better of it. I think that's a good call. Very, very tricky to go around the outside through there, although we have seen it done. These two set the fastest lap of the race. I should say Strawn set the fastest lap of the race last time around. These two clearly motoring on, Hammer falling off ever so slightly at this early stage, but anything can happen, and it usually does, of course. Anyway, so while
Thomas Jacobs just lost a place down to 13th. There's a big bunch of cars from 8th all the way down nearly down to 14th, kind of jostling for position there. It's Yaden right nearly went into the back of Tom Jacobs there.
Oh, that would
so hold your breath and hope for the best at that moment.
Yeah, very tricky corner there down in turn 15.
Oh, they're
very
fighting for the
slow.
lead though. Salo and Strawn.
Good spot. Strawn got halfway up the inside there, but not enough to get that done. Good spot there, Phil. Salo maintains the lead, but this is just so incredibly close for my money. I think Strawn's got the pace, but does he have enough pace to get past cleanly is another matter. as we now run down through turn 3 towards 4. I don't think there's going to be an opportunity there. I think Strawn, he's driving very cleverly here. He's not necessarily putting his car into a position where he's going to put himself in danger, but he's making Salo have to cover all the defensive lines, which of course just slows him down even further. Stop building him, or stopping Salo getting a rhythm. And of course that may give a little more opportunity as well. So Strawn driving a smart race here so far. Let's see if he can convert all this strategy into a race.
I'm looking at 3rd and 4th at the moment. Valiant Hammer and Jupenik fighting each other. I think Sandeep's kind of keeping them both honest and just kind of hanging around in case something goes on. We're seeing somebody drop down a few places there quickly. Was that? I think Lapasa seems to have dropped a few places. Yeah, I think Lapasa's dropped quite a few there because Thomas Jacobs now having a look around the outside.
Strawn just go around the outside. Oh, goodness gracious me, but Salo is going, no, thank you, I'm not letting you have that like that, thank you very much. Thank you, cameraman, for spotting that one. Ooh, a little, ooh, just about, I think, on the edge of legality there. But, oh, Strawn, lovely through turn 15 there, much more momentum, and he's right back on the gearbox of Salo here. I think it's going to be interesting to see who's got the gearing, who's got the straight line speed. For me, it looks pretty even, actually. These cars almost look identical in terms of top end speed, so that's going to prove a tricky problem for Strawn. If he doesn't have that top speed advantage, he's going to have to try and engineer something rather than...
He is now.
Oh, he is now. That's a very nice exit through turn 2. Can he go around the outside here at 3? Oh, Salo leaning, and a little wiggle there from Strawn as he tries to get the power on. Yeah, you got to give.
I think Strawn's got more downforce there. I'm getting the idea he obviously got a nice slipstream there. But on the straight, when they were side by side, it was just about neck and toe, but I think Strawn's got the slightly better package at the moment. That was a bit of a bump, though.
It was a little bit of a, I'm still here, you know, and yeah, I think you may be right there. Just a little more wing, perhaps, than Salo, and that might be hurting him at this point. But if he can get in clear air and start driving his lines, you never know, might be able to get away. Anyway, keeping an eye on what's going on behind, we have Jupenik. He is now right on the back of Valiant Hammer for P3, and we've got Sandeep, his teammate, Team Proline, having a stormer here in P4 and 5. Jupenik, he's looking to the outside. Hammer's left the space. Ooh, goodness me. Just about enough space to keep a car width there. P3. Oh, Jupenik, lovely. He's got a much better exit there through 12, and he is ahead of Hammer. So Jupenik up to P3 for Team Proline. I'm sure his teammate Sandeep will try and be as close as possible to him and get past Hammer as well. But let's return to the leaders. These two clearly a breakaway group. Strawn and Salo very clean and even through turn 15 that time round.
So I'm currently looking at Hoekstra in 7th, Nilsson in 8th, and Valkajavi in 9th. All three of them very close to each other. Mebius just behind the pack, kind of seeing if anything's going to happen, but there's not been much movement at the moment. Currently looking at our last points position of Bruno Sousa Ferreira, currently 15th, although Yaden Wright and Richard Coxon 16th, 17th, going down the back straight, nearly side by side. Coxon probably pulled out too early, but he's going to try and dive down the inside. No, he's fought better with it.
I think a good call there. It's one of those places where...
Oscar's gone wide through turn 2 and let Osgard through. He hit one of the outside bumps of turn 1, pushed him wide in turn 2 there and lost the place.
Melbourne, it's one of these places where you can get two cars just about through some corners, but some others, just because the exit's a little bumpy.
Balance gone wide, sorry, Balance gone wide, and Sandeep Choda is up to 4th place. In fact, Balance lost 2 places. Oh, he's out! He's lost a wheel. How's that happened?
Oh, goodness me, might need to get a replay of that one quickly. Oh, goodness me, he's in the track. In fact, Nieman's just hit him. Goodness me, just on the replay now. Going down into turn 7, I think it is. He's run wide. Sandeep tried to put him under pressure and dropped it into the wall. Goodness me. Well avoided from Nilsson and a few others. Mebius. Oh, goodness me. Unfortunately, we've heard us missed that on the replay. We'll try and describe it. Unfortunately, just going through turn 6 and 7, a little bit off the road, and Hammer, he just went into that wall, and that was the end of that. No more wheel, and unfortunately, a few cars collected him. Hammer, though, is still going, amazingly, although he's only got 3 wheels.
Definitely out, I'm afraid, but I mean, that can't be fixed.
Nope, unless he's got a very good pit crew. Unfortunately, I think that's him had his chips. The Street Circuit claims its first victim there. We're on lap 7 of 15, getting up on 50%, our top 2. It still remains Salo and Strawn. Strawn last time round setting the fastest lap. These two cannot be separated. They're as good as glue. And here we go again. Strawn, he's got a good run down towards turn 3. Can he complete it? Oh, it's half done. Space has been left. Salo's come across to cover the line through 4. just about done. Strawn really hounding the back of this Bastovic car, but for me, these two are almost even on pace. There's literally nothing between them, and Salo doing a superb job in defending. A few moments earlier on where I think he was a little close to just about leaving the space, but Strawn is going to engineer something here now down into turn 9 and 10. Nothing between these two whatsoever. The gap, though, between these two is 4 seconds between the brace of Team Proline cars, Zupanik and Choda, and then another second or so gap back to Lars Brugman, who's running in P5. So
that gap, though, has gone down quite a little bit. Sandeep made a bit of a mistake through turn 1, again hitting those bumps, and Lars has managed to really bring the gap down to 4/10 between himself and Sandeep. So slightly out of slipstream, but he's a couple of second gaps to the guy behind him, Wupke Hoekstra. So he'll be piling on the pressure onto Sandeep.
Good spot, good spot. Just keeping an eye on the fight here for P9. Or P8 and 9, we've got Valka Jarvi in the YTF1 car, very pretty car, reminds me of the BAR an awful lot, like that very much. He's chasing down Hansko Mebius for Cosmo. Mebius there just running a little bit wide through 13 or 14.
Sandeep is definitely, Sandeep's lagging out for me, and you think he's going to lose a lot of places. Yeah, he's now all the way down to 12th place.
I think he is lagging out, unfortunately. Oh no, he is, that must have been a moment or something. Yes, very odd. Yeah, looks like unfortunately a bit of lag or something there, so he's lost out a load of places, which is a real pity. Looks like he ran wide. Oh, goodness gracious me! Action at the front of the field. Salo and Strawn. I didn't quite catch that. I think that was a back marker. Might have been Pelknen getting involved. Just hearing from cameraman extraordinaire this evening, Mr. Brewster. There was a back marker having a moment. Unfortunately, these two ran into them, but found themselves in the aftermath. But goodness me, that's given Salo a little bit of breathing room there.
Yeah, I saw that. So basically, Salo had to go left with Strawn kind of wide on his left side. Salo had to somewhat lean into Strawn to miss. I think it was Pelknen who had spun. So yeah, he's still got 8 now. He's got 6/10 of a gap. That gap's already come down 1/10 through that last sector.
And Salo, goodness me, really pushing the hammer down there through 12. You're not going to gain yourself any time there. I'm sure that gap's going to be much shorter now, as we are now running down into sector 3. In fact, they're almost back to where they were, a couple tenths. But goodness me, he had half a second's worth of breathing room and he's lost it. That's a tricky section of 11 and 12.
Thomas Jacobs trying to go for 9th round Lewis McGlade. He's kind of going down the couple of the last right-handers in sector 3. He's right on the back of Lewis McGlade. He's had to back off a little bit, but obviously these guys have really been benefiting from the few dropouts.
Just returning to the front, Strawn. He's having a look down into turn 1. He's not close enough though. He's pulled back in. We will, however, have a factor of traffic in the next few laps. We've got another car ahead of us in sector 1. A decent enough gap to the next bunch, but Strawn, he's trying around the outside down into turn 3 again. Not this time, he's trying the cut back. Not enough traction on that time. A little squiggle as they now run through 4 and into 5. These two, literally, they are exactly equal on pace at the moment. I would hasten to bet that if Strawn were to get by, I reckon Salo would be able to keep right with him, with I would say, a little bit of a top speed advantage, perhaps due to a little less wing. So, fascinating fight between these two.
Osgard just going up to 13th, a nice pass round Bruno in turn 1.
Also,
Adam Wright and Sam Jones have been fighting out heavily.
Just also to mention, Wupke Hoekstra, he's up into P4 now. He's had a good race, a quiet race, but a good race all the same. He's running his pace and picking up positions. And we have Hansko Mebius in P5 now as well, with Valka Jarvi and Nilsson close behind. So Wupke, a good race there. Lars Brugman has reappeared, and it's, goodness me. Lots of latency all of a sudden, unfortunately. So, hopefully, that's just me having an issue rather than the server.
I think it may be...
okay.
A few technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties, of course. We don't have issues such as cars catching fire or anything like that necessarily, but we do have server lag. So there you are, one of the quirks of sim racing. But anyway, everyone's good. Everyone's all right. By the looks of it, we haven't lost anyone from any of the good scraps that we're having up and down the field. Our leaders have passed the back marker. That was Willis. Strawn really pushing it through turn 1 there. We're on lap 10 of 15, so the time for him to try and make a pass is now dwindling. We're coming up to 2/3 complete, of course, but we'll keep an eye on it. This fight has been superb all race long, and I'm sure with just a third left, there's plenty of drama to unfold. So we'll keep an eye on that one for you.
Speaking of which, there's a beautiful battle going right back down in 19th. So for 0 points, you've got Tommy Cabrera, Mike Bell in 20th, James Ross is taking part in that, and Adam Wright and Thomas Hinds are only just behind it. So, 6 cars all fighting for 0 points, but they're really going for it.
Excellent to hear. Yes, there might not be points on offer in those positions, but we do like the fact everyone's giving it their all. That's what we love to see here in Formula Challenge. Everything or nothing may be the mentality in some places, but we always do get good scraps. Now, we have Thomas Jacobs, just to update you. He's now up into P9. He's been able to get past Lewis McGlade, although Sandeep Choda, recovering Sandeep Choda, is on the gearbox of McGlade and probably will be challenging here as we're running down into 11 and 12. Jacobs going very defensive, which is quite surprising. I didn't think Lewis was anywhere near. And if anything, I think Jacobs has actually now caused himself a problem through 12 with the momentum loss. Jacobs now going very defensive down into 13. We'll have to see if he can hold on to it. Yes, he can. Ooh, goodness me. I think McGlade, a little touch there, a little bit of difference there in apex speed, and now Choda's really on the back of these two. So this is going to be interesting. McGlade going for a move down into 15. Space left, but Jacobs hangs it out there on the outside. Choda, lovely bit of optimistic driving. He was opportune driving. He saw the opportunity. He decided to put his car up the inside. These three all very close together.
Putting his car at the inside, turn 3. He's still trying that same line. He's going to turn 4. Strand's really having a go at Salo here.
Lovely move by McGlade. He's got that one in the books. He's now ahead of Jacobs, and Jacobs now under immediate pressure from Choda, as they're now running down towards turn 3 here on lap 11 of 15. McGlade covers the inside. Jacobs trying around the outside, and Choda is in close pursuit. He's on the outside of turn 4. Ooh, just about enough space. You don't want to get caught out on that rumble strip out there. It will spit you into a wall. All these battle. It's a 4-way battle now as Martin Lapasa has caught up to this group as well. Real good scrap here in the midfield for the points.
And Strand's still on. While that's going on, I'm watching the front two guys, and this is going to go to the last lap, I think, at this rate. Strand's kind of sometimes got a bit more speed, but he just can't always. Maybe an opportunity now into sector 3. Is he going to try and chuck it down the inside? He kind of gets close enough, but not close enough to then put his car out last second.
Unfortunately, I mean, the trick with these cars, of course, is they are Formula cars. They will stop very quickly compared to a touring car or anything else, but you push it beyond that limit and the car will bite. So if you do just chuck it up the inside and try and just lock up those brakes and try and get yourself stopped, you're just going to do yourself more mischief. These two cars incredibly even. And I think really it's going to be a matter of racecraft and technique to try and engineer a pass as here comes Strand down into turn 1. But again, look at that. Just a little bit of an advantage there in top speed for Salo, and he's able to maintain his position. So we'll have to see how this one pans out. It really does look like we've got a nice sort of yin and yang balance of a little bit of downforce and a little bit of top-end speed, just cancelling each other out. And we've got two top drivers fighting nice and respectfully, and we're having a great scrap here at the front. But it's not the only scrap going on. We have all sorts of movement.
Sandeep up to 9th.
Indeed, just about to mention that.
Yeah, Lewis McGlade, he's kind of side by side. Lewis is thinking about coming back, but I think Sandeep... Oh, he's run wide, though.
He has.
That, he's going to lose it in La Paso as well.
Yeah, a little bit greedy there, trying to carry the speed.
Oh, Stroll and Solo! Sorry to cut you over there. Stroll and Solo going through a turn 10 were very close. I'm just going to get a replay of that.
Yeah, Salo really very close indeed here at this point. Oh, guys, calm down. It's only race 1. Don't throw away all the points. But really giving it absolutely everything. It's what we love to see here. Great racing as always here in Formula Challenge, and as Philip was just mentioning a second ago, we were seeing it down in the non-points playing positions, of course eligible though for that reverse grid. All sorts of action up and down the field. The points don't matter. Everyone's just giving their all. By the looks of it, we now have a move coming up from Choda in P11 at the moment on Martin Lapasa for 10th. Trying around the outside of 13, but not working that time around. Jacobs and all this is shuffled down to the back of this group into 12. Perhaps just waiting for that moment, that opportunity to strike and to gain a few places here in the dying moments of the race. Salo and Strand still are leaders. The gap is 0.3 of a second there on lap 13 of 15.
Yeah, just going to kind of rattle through a few gaps at the moment. So, see, Strand 0.3 off Salo. Chupenik is a further 8 seconds down the road, and he has a 3-second gap to the Mad Cape Racing of Lars Brugman. Then it's only a second between him and Wookie Hoekstra, so he needs to stay honest. 1.6 to Hansko in 6th. And we've got Sandeep Choda up into 10th, fighting through this pack of cars at the moment. So he's kind of on the getting himself back together again. Next up, it is Lewis McGlade, who's having a good race himself. So in the top 10 is around where the big battles at the moment. Down to 15th, our final points position is currently Richard Coxon, although he's only just behind 14th of Yaden Wright, and Coxon having about a 2-second gap to Oscar in 16th.
All very close, plenty of action going on. Our leaders are still nose to tail. Strawn trying to engineer something around the outside of 13, but unfortunately not going to happen this time round. These two are really pushing. I saw a few moments where Salo was a little squiggly out of corners. Strawn also, these two are really pushing and giving it everything they've got. Absolutely putting absolutely everything on the table to try and take the first win of 2015. Strawn there, a little contact with a wall on the exit of 16, so that might influence things this time around. By the looks of it, he's not near enough to make a pass into turn 1 this time around. Strawn, though, last time round was, or I should say did set the fastest lap of the race, so these two still going. The weight of that fuel burning off, the car's getting quicker and quicker and quicker. Strawn now looking to the outside for 3. Can he make anything work this time around? No. He tries a little look of an undercut. Nothing there. Salo parks the back of his car right where Strawn wants to put us, and no way through that time round. Through the very fast turn 5. Strawn looking to the inside, perhaps a 6. Salo covers it and then takes his line. Got a back marker though up ahead, and they've got cameraman extraordinaire chipping in, I think very fairly, saying that probably Strawn actually has the quicker car. Salo's doing the much better job of defending. That's a very fair comment to make. We now, however, do have a back marker ahead. Let's see what happens here as these two try and have their race. We have Rebellis, I believe, just going through turn 11. Is Strawn going up the inside for 11? Goodness me, just about enough space. Salo, just goodness me. Both of them get through there. Both are going to be compromised on momentum. Who will have kept the most? It looks like Salo. Strawn there, goodness me, he really engineered that. Going around the outside of 13, can he make a stick? Yes, he can! Oh, lovely move there, around the outside of turn 13. I didn't think that one could be done, but Strawn's put it in the book. Lovely stuff. He now has to get back this back marker, and what can Salo do? Can he immediately respond? Rebellis, very responsible back marker driving. That's what we like to see, not getting involved. Strawn rounds turn 16 on lap 14 of 15. We have one more after this. Can he bring this win in? Salo, he's having a look for turn 1. There's the top end speed, and it's done. Goodness me, Salo, he's running clearly a little less wing or something. He's got that top speed advantage, and he's immediately counteracted that overtake.
While that's all been going on, looks like McGlade actually tagged the back of Lepassa. Lepassa kept going. McGlade spun. Tom Jacobs kind of spun, trying to avoid it all. So they've both lost a few places. Thomas Jacobs down to 14th, although I think he's fighting Coxon at the moment. So yeah, he's gone backwards a little bit there. Oscar's near his tail, but hopefully he can still get a couple of points before the end of this race on the final lap.
They just to update you on our leaders, Salo still leads. Strawn tried to go around the outside of turn 3, and Salo very firmly shut the door. No way around there, thank you very much. So if anything, a little bit of a gap has been built up here between Salo and Strawn as they run down towards 11 and 12 for the final time here in race 1. Meanwhile, just keeping an eye on the other gaps, we have a nice little fight here developing for P5, 6 and 7. Hoekstra has been wheeled in by Mebius and Valkajavi, though I doubt they might be able to get an opportunity round on this final lap. And Choda has fought his way through valiantly back up to 9th, and Thomas Jacobs, unfortunately, who was leading this scrap when we were focusing on it before, he's dropped back down to 14. However, stars of the show, I think it's only fair to say, of race 1, what a way to kick off this year's racing here at the GPVWC. We will have, unless there's some sort of drama and fuel terms as we go across the start finish here, Rasmus Salo for Bastavik Grand Prix wins race 1 from Eric Strawn in what can only be described as a gladiatorial battle over this 5-kilometre race circuit. What an amazing race from these two. A little bit of elbows out at some points, but these two so incredibly even. Goodness me, what an amazing race. We're just having the rest of our runners and riders come in to round out our top 5 at the moment. We have Salo, Strawn, Zupanik for Team Proline rounding out the podium. Lars Brugman for Mad Cape coming home in P4, and Whoopke Hoekstra for Epic Racing coming home in P5.
I'm just currently watching any other fights going on before the finish line. The Arrows guys, 21st and 22nd, are rather close, but not close enough there for Mike Bell to have a look at Sam Jones. I think, like I said, assuming no fuel issues, that is pretty much how it's going to stay in the grid at the moment.
Excellent, Roll. Let's quickly run through our top 15 then. So we have coming home in P6, Hansko Moebius for Cosmo. Great start for the Cosmo team. Timu Valkajavi for YTF1. He finished in 7th. Jesper Nielsen for Ice Cold came home in P8. Sandeep Chober, a good recovery there for Team Proline. He came home in P9. Martin Lipasa for Drake also came home in P10.
Bruno Cesar Ferreira getting a nice decent 11th place, a nice handful of points. Yaden Wright, who was fighting 15th, he also got 3 places there near the end, finished in 12th. Richard Coxon for Cosmo Autosport in 13th. Thomas Jacobs getting a couple of points there in 14th, and our top 15 is rounded out by Adam Osger for Deltec Racing.
Blimey, I knew Formula Challenge was going to be full of action. We knew this from last year. We had some superb battles, but goodness gracious me, what a way to start the series. I hope it carries on in that manner. 2 drivers at the top of their game, really pushing to the limit, and goodness me, I have not seen 2 equaler pair of drivers in a long time. It's races and battles like that which makes me think, well, motorsport should have more of a platform as sort of an Olympic sport or something like that. Clearly 2 people on the top of their game with 2 very even cars, and arguably Salo there, he might not have had the ultimate pace of Strawn setting several fastest laps even though he was right behind Salo, but Salo, he put his car in all the right places and he had that little bit of top end speed right where it counted.
Set us up nicely this evening for race 2 later. So who's in 16th to 20th? We have Lewis McGlade, Adam Wright, James Ross, Timu Toika or Timuro Cabrera. Any one of them could be on pole for race 2 as we do a reverse grid.
They could indeed, and all of those having good fights amongst themselves during race 1, all very handy. So I'm sure they will give us a good race here in race 2. And we'll be waiting on our admin this evening to pull the number out of the hat. We'll be on pole position. We'll let you know what that is as soon as we know. But as we have our drivers just coming home into the pit lane after a very, very, very heated, very, very close, very, very enjoyable to watch from our point of view race. All sorts of fantastic battles to be had. Great to watch, and well, we've got 17 rounds. This is only the first round. We have one more race, but we've got the likes of the Istanbul circuit in Turkey, the likes of Marina Bay in Singapore, a very different challenge, one of an endurance almost, with all the walls and tight corners, as well as some other general classics as well. We have the likes of Spa. We have our Factor Man interjecting as he does, and of course other circuits like the Circuit of Americas to come this year. All have given us some great racing, and well, if the quality is as good as it's been so far this evening, I think we're going to be in for a truly magnificent season.
I'm going to ask you a question there, Matthew. What do you think? What track are you most excited about on the calendar this year?
Goodness.
I mean, obviously, we could call your home circuit of Canada, followed by your other home circuit of Silverstone.
Yes. So, I mean, those are 2 circuits which have a very soft spot in my heart. I think purely on the amazing racing that we saw last year, Spa has to be up there. Of course, Spa being Spa, you always have a little bit of weather in the mix, but it's a great course to have as just a great place to have different setups and everything else. I think I'm going to have to go with Spa. I know though that Istanbul is one close to your heart, Phil.
Oh yeah, I really miss Istanbul on the F1 calendar. I think it's a brilliant circuit, and yeah, I'm excited for round 6 of 17. So looking forward to that one at the end of April.
Yes, not too far away, and yes, if you've already found yourself wanting to see some more sim racing action or getting involved, well, you won't have to wait long. We will have more racing this evening, or more racing, I should say, coming this week. In the form of Super Cup, the next level up. That will be beginning tomorrow evening, same time and place, SimRace TV. And on Thursday we have our Formula 1 series, the Super League, the creme de la creme. They will be racing around this very circuit as well on Thursday evening, same place, same time. So all sorts to look forward to in the open wheel stake, and well, all the other series I mentioned earlier on, they will be kicking off in the imminent future as well. So all sorts of racing to be had, and of course, if you want to get involved, GPVWC.com, that's the place to go.
So we're currently waiting on our reverse grid number. We haven't currently got it for just a 10-minute break between the races, just to give drivers the time to relax, kind of have a bit of get themselves ready for race 2. Like I said, the races are about half an hour long. 20 minutes, 25 minutes long. So it's nice to have a bit of a break between the two races, and we can kind of chat about, like I said, the calendar and looking ahead, and also the liveries. We were having a discussion earlier about which were our favourite liveries on this for this year. And mine, I really like the Triple 20 with the black, red, and yellow. And I have to say the Arrow International Racing, beautiful mixture of greens and white.
Yes, it's actually so obviously it's almost sort of one of the unsung hero roles of the whole sim racing team business. Those who perform, obviously, all the team management. Can't forget those guys. As it is, well, my team boss, strictly speaking, doing the cameras, and he would poke me in the eye if I didn't say anything. But anyway, all those who also perform all the other little tasks like race engineering mid-race, or performing or producing the liveries. Got some superb looking cars this year. Well, my personal favourite, the YTF1, but I'm also a BAR fan, so a little bit of bias there. Anyway, we have got a magic number from our admin tonight, and it is number 16. So I believe that was Lewis Mcgade, was it? No.
It was indeed, I believe.
Was it? Oh, well, there you are. Excellent stuff. So we'll have Lewis Mcgade starting on pole position. I'm sure we'll be pleased with that. Very handy during the race. So, yes, excellent stuff. And actually, yes, good point. So drivers, of course, talking amongst themselves while they're recovering and getting ready for the next race. Thomas Jacobs, he had a good scrap. We were lucky enough to see bits of that. And he had a very good scrap, so hopefully those two will be going hammer and tongs, as we saw Strawn and Sarlo just earlier on. So
our cameraman shouting out the Doge Appreciation Society. I suppose we should mention Dogecoin Racing. As we all know from NASCAR, getting a NASCAR Doge livery, and then we've got the Dogecoin Racing livery there. A wonderful combination of a weird gold, yellow, and purple, and there's gold Doge on the side, and the hashtag. I can't even see the hashtag. Oh yes, of course, the hashtag such wow.
Brilliant. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. And yeah, great to see Dogecoin joining the grid. Many new teams, along with many old and lots of new faces. And absolutely, it's good to see. Well, Tom back. He was, of course, up in Super Cup last year. Had a solid year. Come back down to Formula Challenge. He, of course, had a few wins in his debut season. So one to keep an eye on, I'm sure, during the course of the year. And, of course, it's always nice to have a bit of variety. So, wow, welcome, Doge. Anyway, we have drivers just getting themselves ready, of course, for the race. One thing that I'm just thinking back to now, having driven this race last year, is how physically demanding, as daft as that sounds, keeping a car like this on the straight and narrow for 25 minutes, however long the race is, how tricky that can be, and also a good opportunity just to take on a little bit of fluid. Of course, you don't want to be finding yourself all dehydrated, and just getting yourselves ready, trying it both physically and, of course, getting the car, getting used to a heavy car and all that kind of stuff again. So it's good to have a little bit of a break here in the warm-up. We get to discuss all sorts of bits and pieces as well, and just have a bit of a chat. Now, speaking of a bit of a chat, of course, we welcomed you to chip in if you had anything you'd like to share on the sim racing front. If you tweeted at GPVWC Live, I will now go to the internet.
I've currently got it up.
Excellent.
Tweet. I'm already there.
Excellent.
Bob Mason, great action in the first FC race of the year. Close racing and a great result for Whipkey. Enjoying the broadcast.
Excellent
Hashtag
stuff.
GPVWC. Thank you very much, Rob.
Yes, thank you. And well done on having your internet ready there. Yes, anything you would like to chip in, we'll perhaps have another read. Yes. Thank you to the drivers who are now appreciating the internet. The opportunity to get involved is always there, and we'll hopefully have an opportunity to perhaps have a look at some of your second race results, or thoughts and opinions if we get the opportunity. Of course, we might also be able to have a chat with some of the drivers, and we will hopefully get their thoughts and opinions as well, of course, on the racing we've had so far tonight. So we have a couple minutes remaining. We have 4 minutes, in fact, as drivers just getting themselves sorted out.
Getting themselves sorted out and asking how the game between Man City and Barcelona is going. Obviously, all these guys kind of giving up their evening to do this hobby they love. They also obviously love other things, and football's one of them. So they've been asking kind of what's happening in the football, so reporting results and goal scorers during the small break.
How about that? Multitasking, I'd be useless at that. I would not stand an earthly.
We'll stick to looking at some pictures and talking about racing.
I think that's a good plan. That's a good, solid plan. Oh dear. Anyway, it's good stuff to see that everyone's taking the opportunity just to relax, take a few moments, and get themselves prepared and sharp and ready for race 2. We've got a few moments to kill here. Phil, obviously a lot of battles and fights going on in that very first race. Any particular highlights for you?
I think it was just the great fighting all the way down. Like I said, I mean, we commented on the fact that 18th to 23rd were fighting each other. For obviously they had a chance. A few of them getting onto the reverse grid. Obviously, it's now 16th place, so they didn't in the end. But that opportunity means that you kind of have to go for it right till the end. And yeah, just some great racing. It was a shame to lose a couple to that crash where the car didn't kind of get removed quick enough. But yeah, some great racing. Like I said, first day at school, we're kind of getting an idea of who are the smart guys with setups and stuff.
And thankfully, by the looks of it, no one in the naughty corner, which is the most important thing. And come to think of it, that was the only moment I can think of there being truly a significant incident which took several cars out. I saw a bit of smoke down into turn 1 on lap 1. But other than that, it was a good race as far as, there weren't dramas, people running into walls or whatever else. We'll hope that, of course, that continues in race 2. Of course, race 2, though, most of the toys come out the box and everyone has a good go. So we shall see, of course. I think you hit the nail on the head, though. Just the battles were fantastic in race 1, and also I think personal highlight: the guys who are fighting outside of the points positions midway through that race. They were giving it their all, and well, Lewis McGlade, I mean, he was running solidly in the points finishes, and well, he's been rewarded with a pole position there because of that. And actually, I think also a shout out is deserved to Sandeep Choda. He had a cracking start. I must admit, when I saw it, I thought, blimey, that must have been a jump of some form. But no, evidently not. He would have been called on that. It's a great start. Ran really well in the top 4. Of course, a odd moment there with latency or whatever it may be. And he fought back very well to come home in 9th, I think it was in the end, wasn't it? So, yeah, well done, Sandeep. What I like to see, not giving up at the first bit of trouble, overcoming that trouble and beating it and showing it what for and whatever else. So well done to him. Good drive through the field there. So yes, more of that, please, gentlemen. That is what we like to see here.
Just doing a few laps. As they're just getting used to those heavy fuel. I mean, obviously, they've gone from finishing with very light cars with not very good tyres now to having very good tyres but very heavy cars. As Martin Lepassa totally misses his braking point for turn 1, or I think he may have gone on the grass there, and just gives up and has a bit of a break before we get ready for race 2. Just about 90 seconds to go. As the grid's getting formed up now. I want to see where Osgaard's starting, because obviously he had a very poor start and started making a recovery, but we didn't see that he, I think he crashed out, so sadly he's going to start near the back of the grid. So I'm just trying to work out now where it is. I can't see it at the moment, so Osgaard I'm going to be keeping an eye on, I think, this season. I think he had a poor start, he started doing a good recovery, and whether he got caught up somewhere, I don't know. Centurion is a nice name as well. Centurion Racing is a motorbike team I used to follow, British Superbikes.
Oh, well, there you are.
So I've kind of already got a small fan of theirs so far.
Excellent. I believe they're joining us this year from having been in Super Cup last year, so welcome to the fun, all involved at Centurion. And yes, we have just 30 or so seconds remaining. Drivers I see just taking the opportunity to perhaps do a little quick test start, make sure their gearing and everything else is optimized for that launch control start that everyone, of course, has to run. And yes, we'll be only moments away from the grid being set and running here into race 2 here of this evening. Early days, admittedly very early days for calling out our ones to watch after only having seen one race. But Phil, anyone you would suggest people keep an eye on in this next race?
I don't think you can really for race 2. I mean, obviously we've got the first reverse grid. It's going to be interesting to see how Lewis handles it. I wish him luck, but yeah, I think it's just kind of keep an eye on those guys. I mean, we know Starn and Salo are quick guys, and them starting I think 16th and 17th now are going to be kind of fighting through that grid. It'll be interesting to see how they go.
Absolutely, and I would echo that. I think it is going to be very, very close to call. I think just in general, take it in, absorb what you're about to see. I think we're going to see a cracker. And yeah, we saw Burlak many a time last year just make his way through the field very, professionally, very calmly, just making his overtakes nice and clinically. We might see that, or we might not. It might be just a genuine battle. And the nature of this course, there might be 2 lines, but in order to get by, you really do have to commit to getting that overtake done or whatever else. And well, with the pace as close as it is, that area of getting that overtake done is going to be narrower and narrower. So Hopefully we'll see plenty of action. Hopefully not of the kind where cars are retiring. And we are now just waiting for the grid to be set. And we will be underway here for race 2 of this evening.
I think we're just one of the guys dropped out, so Yari Rubinez just waiting for him to come back in. Hopefully we are starting rather soon. Here we go.
And there we go.
Attention grid, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
Thank you very much, Mr. R Factor Man. That's him calling us in for our second race of this evening. We'll now just wait for everyone to take to the grid, and we will call out your grid here for race 2 of the GPVWC Formula Challenge from Melbourne. Of course, as before, everyone will have to do a formation lap, waiting for people to take to the grid as they are doing so now. By the looks of it, we may have lost a few cars, unfortunately, from race 1. We had 42, I believe, and by the looks of it, might only have about 38 or so, but still, very big full grid. Anyway, as we now have cars underway, let's take you through our starting grid. Starting in pole position for Kajala Racing, it is Lewis McGlade. Following him on the front row, starting in P2, is Adam Oscar for Deltec. Thomas Jacobs for Dogecoin will be our first man on the second row. He starts P3. Richard Coxon for Cosmo, he will be starting in P4. And Jaden Wright for Triple 20 will be rounding out the top 5. Bruno Sousa Ferreira will be starting in P6 for Scuderia Basilica. Martin Lepassa for Drake will be starting in P7. And Sandeep Chola for Team Proline will be rounding out the top 8. Jesper Nielsen for Ice Cold Racing will be starting in P9. And rounding out the top 10 will be Timu Valkajavi for YTF1.
And for Cosmo Autosport, it's Hans Gomebius in 11th, Wupke Hoekstra, Epic Racing in 12th, Lars Brugman, Mad Cape Racing Team in 13th, with Bence Chupenik, I think I've pronounced that 15 different times so far this evening, in 14th place for Team Proline. In 15th place is Eric Strand for Ice Cold, and yes, that Rasmus Sarlo for Basvik in 16th. That should be an epic scrap as they make their way through the field. Adam Wright, the other Mad Cape Racing Team driver, in 17th. James Ross for Viking Racing in 18th. YTF1's Timu Toika in 19th, and Tumiu Cabrera Downforce iZone Racing in 20th.
And also, what I'll also mention while we're in this configuration, of course, Strawn will be starting ahead of Salo, so we'll have to see if he can keep it that way. Anyway, continuing on with the grid, starting in P21 for Arrow International Racing is Sam Jones. His teammate Mike Bell will be following him in P22. William Tringus in the second Dogecoin car will be starting in P23, and for backmarker grade we have our very own Mr. Simon Smith in P24. Thomas Hinds for Viking will be starting in P25. He'll be followed in P26 by Mike Troughton for Epic Racing. Dennis Mitchell in the second Deltec racing car will be starting in P27, and Victor Silva for Centurion Grand Prix will be starting in P28. P29 will be Ben Willis for Zederick Racing, and rounding out our top 30 will be Ollie Pelkonen for Katana Motorsports.
Then we've got in P31 Balint Hammer for Drake Racing, the other Centurion Grand Prix racing car of Tommy Osgaard. Ollie Roods in 33rd for Racing Team Schoten, with Tobias Olsen in 34th for Basvik. And then we have Ari Nemainen for Kajala Racing in 35th, Arjun Zilstra for Triple 20 in 36th, Tommy Ajala, Racing Team Schoten again, in 37th, Andreas Pestovs in 38th, and then finally in 39th position we have Justinas Bebeles in the Katana Motorsports, who managed to get to the grid. So we've only actually lost 2 drivers since
Excellent
race 1.
stuff. Good full grid, good full grid. Well, anyway, as we're waiting for our final driver to get himself back on the grid, our leaders, as they were last time around, have been sat on the grid for quite some time, so their brakes, their tyres were getting a little bit chilly at this point. But by the looks of it, we've got our final few cars getting in place now. Plenty of cars all angled in different directions, trying to optimise their lines off the start. Anyway, as we now wait for the red lights, 1 light, 2 light, 3 light, 4 light, 5 lights, and we are racing. Quick lights. By looks, a pretty even start off the front row. Look at that, Sandeep Choda, I think, is that again. An amazing start. He's already alongside Coxon, I think that is. Oh, goodness me, he left it a bit late. Jacobs effective. No, I think that's Sandeep off into the wall. That's unfortunate. McGlade, though, leads through turn 1 and 2 from Oscar, and I think that's Jacobs, who's made a good start there up into P3. Everyone needing to be nice and careful down into 4. Looks like everyone's gone a little bit deep. Sosa Ferreira, he's got up the inside into P3. Jacobs now down into 4. 2 by 2 as they go through turn 4. Lapassa taking the line there for 5. And that is, I believe, our top 5 on lap 1.
So, there's a little scrap at the end. At the back there, Ice Cold going backward. That's Strand all the way up to 11th already. So he's already made a few places, about 5 places at the start.
Yep, a good start from him. That's what you want to see. We'll have to see comparity, whereas Salo only down in 13. Strawn currently in 11th. This is going to be interesting. He's got Zupanik ahead of him. This is going to be a real little scrap. It's going to be interesting to see what will aid him as he makes his way through the field. Is it going to be that downforce factor, or will Salo, with his superior top speed of these two, really come into play? I'm willing to bet that down.
Pelkinen's already out. He had a swap around back of the car, went into the back of the wall, and that's him already out.
Oh, that's unfortunate. So we've lost one already. It hasn't even got to lap 1. As Strawn, just keeping an eye on him. That's a move there on Zupanik. He's up into 11 as he gets by the Team Proline car. And goodness gracious me, we've got several cars side by side here in the midfield. Oh, that's a spin for Mebius. Oh, dear. I think that was the Cosmo car helping that other car swap ends. That's unfortunate, but everyone else, by the looks of it, just about getting away from that, thankfully taking place off the racing line. So as we've completed lap 1 of 15, Lewis McGlade leads by 2 seconds from Bruno Ferreira.
There's a car upside down in the pit lane. Sam Jones somehow has made it upside down in the pit lane.
Goodness gracious me, didn't quite see what caused that one. Might get a replay, might not. We'll have to see, but there's all sorts of action going on now. We've got Jesper Nielsen challenging Thomas Jacobs in P3, is that? Yes, it is. So evidently might have lost someone, I don't know. Anyway, get that. Jacobs is challenging Sosa Ferreira for P2. McGlade at the moment is just going, thank you very much. I'm just going off into the distance for now. These three all very closely matched here, and we've got we've got a couple of cars actually with Brugman, and who else is that? Lepasa and Oscar. Oscar it was who was up in the top. That's who we were missing, unfortunately. Oscar's dropped down to 7th as Nielsen. Ooh, lovely move late on the brakes round the outside of turn 9. Lovely move there from Nielsen. We've seen plenty of moves like that, and Brugman's now taking the advantage. I think Jacobs a little wrong-footed, unfortunately, there. As we're now running down towards 10-11. Ooh, side by side through 11. Nicely done. Space given, that's what we like to see. And unfortunately, Jacobs, he had to take the raw end of the stick on that one as Lepasa now gets by, because Jacobs, of course, has to lift to get round turn 12 there. So good, respectful driving.
Ollie Woods at turn 1 of lap 2, who sadly crashed out and retired. So that's our second retirement so far.
That's a pity we're losing drivers. Unfortunately, race 2 can do that with things being a little topsy-turvy, but things going to plan, I'm sure, for Lewis McGlade for Kajala. He's continuing to lead. We'll get the gap as he crosses the start-finish line, completing lap 2. A picture-perfect start for him. The gap remains at 2.2 seconds. McGlade setting the fastest lap last time around. Where on earth is Jacobs? Jacobs is down to 6, of course he is, after all the drama which happened on turn 11 and 12. That's short-term memory for me. Hoekstra did well in race 1. He's up to P7. Strawn, however, he is, goodness me, Strawn, what an interesting little scrap we've got going on here for P10, 9, 8, 11, all sorts of numbers. All sorts of action going down into turn 3. Oscar's been able to get ahead of Strawn there by the looks of it. Strawn,
what's important here is there's a 3-place gap between Salo and Oscar.
Yes, good.
Sorry, Salo and Strawn, sorry.
Ooh, yeah, a little bit of a lean there, but yes, as pointed out there by Phil and also by cameraman extraordinaire as well, Salo has been able to get ahead of Strawn through all this, so he's making his way through quite happily, and is really making up the places. It's +8 for him after 2 laps. So good stuff from Salo. Just looking at the fight now for P2, Nielsen's got by, of course. Jacobs, we saw before, much quicker there through 12, really putting the pressure on Sosa Ferreira, and here comes Brugman. This is the difference in momentum. We've got 3 wide going down into turn 13. Ooh, I want to close my eyes, but I won't. Nielsen, latest on the brakes, tightest on the corner. Job done. He's up into P2. And Brugman for Madcape, he was able to benefit there. Lovely move, getting up the inside of Sosa Ferreira. Outside.
So yeah, it's Bruno's kind of lost 1. He's lost 3 in the space of 2 corners.
Unfortunately, that can happen. You just get out of line, get out of rhythm, and you just lose that little bit of time, a little bit of pace, a little bit of speed. And unfortunately, that can happen. You just sort of fall down the order like that. But Bruno, he's a handy driver. We saw that last year. Fastest lap of the race being set by Whoopke Hoekstra on the last time round. I'm sure he'll be able to make his way through. He's an experienced hand with these machines. Anyway, we still have McGlade leading. The gap up to 3 seconds. I'm sure he's going to be very pleased with that so far. But a long way to go. We're only on lap 4 of 15. And we're already seeing little fights starting to break out.
Yeah, I mean, I think McGlade's being helped here by Nielsen and Brugman, and even Lepasa is close to this, fighting each other for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and Bruno's just behind that little scrap to kind of see if he can get himself on the podium later. So while they're all fighting each other, Lewis is just able to look after his tyres, think about his fuel load, and just kind of go for it and just do his own race, which I think is really helping him right now. I mean, just looking at the gap in the last sector, is it going to go up a couple of tenths or not?
May just have to talk over you here because we've got an interesting scrap now developing for P6, 7 and 8 between Jacobs, Hoekstra and Sarlo. Sarlo just gaining a little bit of momentum and an advantage. We've got Jacobs defending against Hoekstra. And here comes Sarlo, look at that, much better drive off turn 12 and almost effortless. Just the sheer amount of extra speed he was able to carry through there, through 12. And if Sarlo gets that right, oh, Jacobs, lovely, he's not giving up around the outside, he's not having any of that. But Sarlo has the inside for turn 14 there. So lovely from Sarlo, two stones with one egg, what am I saying, I don't know, lovely overtake.
It was a very good overtake, and I think we should just leave it at that. We've currently got McGlade. The gap is still 3 seconds as they come across the line. It's now 3.5 seconds.
Lovely back
Lars
from McGlade.
and Nilsson seem to be fighting each other rather hard, but it's interesting to see how quickly Sarlo can kind of get back on the back of Bruno Cesar Ferreira in 5th, and then kind of work his way towards a podium. Strand's still making progress slowly, but he's currently in 10th, and obviously he's got that fight between Jupenik and Jacobs to get through. As Jupenik's looking down the inside of 3, but he's going to be on the outside of 4 with a good exit. He's just about managed it, so that's Jupenik up to 8th place.
Determined but fair defending there from Jacobs. Lovely to see. Good fight, but not going to risk putting a car on a wall or anything like that. It's what we like to see. Good fair fight. As Jupenik there. Good move. Strawn now has to make or engineer his way past Jacobs. Anyway, a few other movements. We've got Brugman. Brugman now. He's gone off down at turn 7, I think that is. Unfortunately, he was running well inside the top 10. Might be able to just catch a replay of that. Under pressure. Oh, La Passa! Oh, goodness gracious me, on the replay. La Passa just made contact with his left rear. La Passa's lost his front wing from that, so he's going to be in trouble. Unfortunately, Brugman, through no fault of his own, he's lost a whole load of positions there, so unlucky there for Brugman. Just
yeah,
unfortunate bit of contact.
Replay myself, he just locked his brakes up, went into the side of Brugman more than so, but obviously if Nilsson's lost a bit of his front wing, he's probably going to be regretting that now, as Osgaard and Adam Wright 16th and 17th, so they're kind of fighting each other while trying to still get Thomas Hinds, who currently takes the last points position. Yeah, La Passa's really struggling now, he's kind of having to back off and let everyone through. He's currently down in 19th, but I don't think he'll be getting any points this evening in this second race.
Indeed, and it's very difficult once these cars do lose a down or an aerodynamic piece. You might be able to, on a few tracks, potentially gain a little advantage, because obviously aerodynamic pieces, they cause drag, but on this sort of circuit you definitely want all the downforce you can get. Anyway, Lewis McGlade, the gap 3.4 was 3.7 on last time around, so now that Nielsen's been able to break free a little bit, he's been able to eat into that lead ever so slightly, but still a healthy advantage to have while we're on lap 6 of 15. Couple of cars retired, unfortunately, in the last few laps. We had Ollie Woods, Timu Toika, and Balin Hammer, all unfortunately retiring from the second race of Formula Challenge this year. But our top 5 pretty much are as they were. We have McGlade from Nielsen, Sarlo from Sousa Ferreira, and Hoekstra rounding out the top 5.
Yeah, I think that now that Nielsen's got that gap, he can start looking at going towards McGlade, but also Sarlo himself is kind of looking at seeing currently the gap is 1.6 Jesper to Nilsson. It's still about 1.6 now, so no real change there. They've got enough gap between each other to kind of fight each other. Oh, we've got Jupenik having Hoekstra for 5th place, slipstreaming down the back.
Yeah, I was just about to call it out. This group very, very close. Hoekstra there, unfortunately, just ran a little wide out of 12. Got on the dirty stuff and well held and good space left there. Otherwise, that would have been a drama, I'm sure. Sousa Ferreira, though, doing a good job keeping everyone behind. But now Strawn, interestingly, is on this group, so he's got past Jacobs there. And he might be able to engineer his way forward. Anyway, interestingly, Sarlo up into P3. He's been moving and shaking nicely. Clearly got his eye on gaining a nice bucket of points. Interestingly, though, just watching all the lap times coming in, we had McGlade setting the fastest lap, Sarlo setting the fastest lap, and then Hoekstra setting the fastest lap last time around. So all sorts going on. We have Sarlo, though, now gaining at a rate of knots on Nielsen. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Might have a fight for P2 in the very near future.
Yeah, I think Strawn's been caught here by this battle ahead of him, 4th, 5th and 6th. He obviously wants to get past them, but he doesn't really want to get involved and lose a front wing and lose a bag of points to Sarlo early on in the season. So he's trying to be a bit careful. He's looking around the outside of Sousa Ferreira as we go down into turn 10. No, he's going to try and cut back to the inside. Last late breakers. No, he's thought better.
Yeah, a little awkward there. A little bit. The problem with that corner, very bumpy. In the braking zone, you get it wrong, you can lock a brake, and well, then you're not going to get any braking momentum from it whatsoever. We'll have to keep an eye on if you can engineer anything. I don't know why I'm saying engineer so much, but through in 11 and 12, I don't think so this time around. Probably line up. Oh, Sousa Ferreira! Oh! Contact between Sousa Ferreira and Strawn. Goodness me, tyres are off. We're going to have to get a replay on that one. Goodness gracious me, I think that was just an unfortunate, wrong place, wrong time moment there. Sousa Ferreira getting all sorts of sideways. Through 12, Strawn, wrong place. Oh, heavy into the wall, comes across. Well dodged by everyone. I think unfortunately... unfortunately, Strawn is out of it, but fortunately, no one else.
There's me saying about losing a handful of points, and he's lost a lot of points there. It wasn't even his fault. Like I said, Sousa going very sideways through what was turn 13 or turn 12, sorry, and just tapped him. Not even his own fault, trying to correct it, and round Strawn went.
I would agree. It was Valkajavi. So Campout Extraordinaire complimenting Valkajavi's cat-like reflexes to dodge that one. I wholeheartedly agree. But goodness gracious, yeah, terribly unlucky there for Strawn. Absolutely passenger, absolutely did nothing
While
wrong there.
While this has gone on as well, Sarlo is right on the back of Nilsson now for second place.
Indeed, setting fastest lap of the race last time was round as well, so as the fuel's burning off, he's getting quicker and quicker and quicker. The gap, though, between Nilsson and McGlade has stabilised at 3.5, a little bit of a leeway on either side in the last few laps, but that gap remaining constant, so if Sarlo can get past Nilsson here, we'll be able to see his true pace, and if he will be able to reel McGlade in by the end of the race. So, yes, this is going to be a pretty telling moment of the race so far. So... yeah, so just keeping an eye on the other battles we have going on. Unfortunately, Jaden Wright has just retired from the race, which is a pity to see. Sousa Ferreira in P7. After that big moment, he's dropped down the order to P7. He's now being challenged by Valkajavi into 13. Jacobs has been able to get past these lot as they've been having their individual moments. And here comes Valkajavi now. He might try around the outside of 15. That'll be very brave. He's been given the space. Will he be able to complete it through 16? Yes, he can. Valkajavi, lovely double move there through 15 and 16. Goodness me, I don't think you'd be able to get two through there nicely, but these two have proved it. Can he complete it down into turn 1? We'll have to keep an eye. Yeah, can. Valkajavi up to P7. Lovely move there through the final two corners of the last lap.
Wonderful moves. I'm just seeing who's currently taking our last point paying position, and it is Ari Namainen in 15th. He's got about 3 second gap to the Mad Cape Racing teams in 16th and 17th for actually fighting each other. Oh, Lars, now has he been let through? It looks like Adam may have backed off a little bit there, letting Lars Brookman go ahead of him. We've got James Voss in 14th. He's fighting Schroten in 13th. For himself is fighting Thomas Hinds in 12th, so still fighting for points.
Yep. So now just to update you on our sort of lead group, Sarlo has been able to get past Nilsson for P2, and now the game I think is very much afoot. What can Sarlo do to try and reel in McGlade over the next 7 or so laps? We're on lap 9 of 15 at the moment.
Just watching a replay of Sarlo. Nilsson locked up at turn 3, and Sarlo managed to get an easy overtake there. In the end, it was a slight lock up from Nilsson, just ran wide, and Sarlo up to second.
There you are. That's one way to make your moves. Let others make the move for you, and you can just cruise on by. So here we go. Sarlo now. Plenty of nice, clean, and fresh air ahead of him. It's hammer time for him. If he wants to win this race, he has all the opportunity to do so. We know he's nice and quick. What's the gap? Goodness me. It was 3.5 at the start of the last between McGlade and, as it was, Nilsson. Now just 2.7 between McGlade and Sarlo.
2 tenths gained.
Sarlo.
2 tenths gained in that last sector as well.
Alone, yeah. So Sarlo, he's putting his foot down. We're going to have an interesting fight here, I think. In a couple of laps' time, I have to see over a whole lap what the time gain is. So just keeping an eye actually on the sectors. 3 tenths in the first, 2 tenths in the middle, and just about even in the third. So yeah, very, very close between these two at the moment. So fascinating in a few laps once they come together. And interesting, it'll be good to see if Jesper can keep with Sarlo here and make it a three-way fight. Who knows? So, as Cameraman Extraordinaire very rightly says, catching is one thing, passing is quite another. Thank you very much, Mr. Murray Walker, for that. Very, very true. But parlance. Let's see what's going on up and down the order. Our last points playing position at the moment is Niemann still for Kajala. Currently a point sandwich for Kajala in first and 15th. So they would be getting a nice double point score as things stand.
Olsen has just passed Ferreira for 9th, although Ferreira's looking at going straight back at him. It's going to be interesting.
Contact!
Olsen's got involved as well. It's wrong place, wrong time again.
That was
12th, 12th, 10th, 11th.
As it was, yeah. Oh goodness me, that's what I was saying about this race course. There's not much opportunity. You have to commit, and if you don't, you get into little moments like that. And goodness me, so obviously Sosa Ferreira there has lost several positions, and I think he may have a moment with the stewards a little later on. But all sorts of I won't call it carnage, but all sorts of interesting moments from drivers as they all of a sudden slow down a bit and try and allow for obviously there being a slightly slower car ahead of them. Anyway, all to do here. Interestingly, purple sectors 1 and 2 last time round for Salo. The gap between Salo and McGlade, 1.2 seconds. So very, very close at the moment. Really, Salo really does have his hammer time mode engaged. Never mind, I'm forgetting all the parlances here. As we now have a move here for 14 and 15 between Schroten and Niemann. So nice move there by Schroten. Their next target up the road now will be Sosa Ferreira.
So Japanik is currently in 4th place. Has also had a good recovery drive because he would have started quite a bit. Oh, Hoekstra in 5th place has just got off in the braking zone. I don't think that was Japanik's fault. I don't think he was crowded out. I'm just watching a quick replay now. Turn 9. Yeah, he's tried going left-hand side of Japanik, and he hasn't moved in the braking zone. And Hoekstra's just gone tried braking on the grass, which obviously is never going to happen. He's lost quite a few places there.
Can easily happen, the bumps there. You think you got a bit of grip, and all of a sudden you're skirting towards the outside. So yeah, Japanik a bit of a beneficiary there. Also, Tom Jacobs, that Dogecoin car, he's kept his nose clean, very literally, and he's reaping the rewards now as everyone's having their own individual little moments, going hammer to the throttle. God, what am I saying? I'm really having a shocker here, aren't I? Anyway, good driving. Very well done. As we're now on lap 12 of 15, the gap between Salo and McGlade, 1.4. Interesting, the gap stabilised there. So perhaps Lewis was just maintaining a bit of tyre there in the early stages, just to say, for such an occasion. So keep an eye on that one, if that gap comes down anymore. Otherwise, we're starting to get a little bit of spread between our top 10. Our closest fight in the top 10 is actually 4P9 and 4P10. That is between Olsen and Osger. Nothing on at the moment. And we've got Thomas Hinds pretty close behind on Osger there. So, good little scrap for the midfield of the points here. And
Brookman's just gone 15th and taken that last points off Niemann. I'll get it right one day.
The double point score is off for the time being, but I'm sure there will be a counter move in the imminent future. What I will say, though, at the moment is Salo and McGlade are coming up to a back marker, being Jones. Just going through turns 11 and 12 at the moment. Hopefully won't be a factor in anything here. But what I will say, just watching Salo for the last couple bends, so much more momentum carried through the fast stuff. Clearly Salo's got a very nice balance on that car. But also not evidently running just as much wing as well. Just able to keep the top speed as well. As we come down into turns 15 and 16, McGlade, a little moment coming through there. That's only going to aid Salo. I'll put that one in the bank. He had a moment there. We'll see if we can spook him again. As McGlade, he makes a little move, trying to alert Jones to his presence. Hello, I'm the leader. Please don't make me lose the lead. As they go down into turn 1, we're on lap 13 of 15. Very near the end. Jones just about getting out of the way, a little awkwardly, but there you go. But Salo now right with McGlade. I have a feeling, and I really don't want it to be so, that Salo, I think, has got the quicker car and will be able to affect something fairly quickly. And here comes Salo now through 4 into 5. Nothing on there. Ooh, a little bit of an oversteer moment there for McGlade, going very defensive now, down into 6. Nicely defended. Not an opportunity given. They run through 6 now. Round the sweeper here at 8. As that little kink was 7. And we're now going down towards turn 9, where we saw that moment for Hoekstra just a moment ago. Nicely on the brakes, these two. Nicely
while this is all going
corner.
on, I mean, Nielsen in 3rd place is currently making up the time on them. I mean, Japanik in 4th is another about 10 seconds off the leaders.
Sorry to speak over you, Phil, but we have literal contact on the back straight just then as Salo's just saying, hello, I'm here now. Shall we have a race? And this is going to be the interesting moment, I think, now into this third sector. Who's going to go where? Salo has been given the opportunity of going up the inside. McGlade going for the outside. Oh, lovely, lovely stuff there from Lewis. Just gave him the opportunity. Said, right, you want to have a go? There you are. Prove that you can do it. There's a little moment again through turn 14 there for McGlade. That's just going to aid Salo. He might start to engineer something. Here we go with the engineering again. Through this last sector, can he set something up? But, goodness me, Salo, much better traction there. Out of 16, over the start finish this time around. I fear this might be a done deal. McGlade leads as we go on to lap 14 of 15. But Salo, I think, down into turn 1. Job done for now. Let's see how McGlade can respond.
Yeah, he's going to see if he can get the slipstream down towards turn 3 and then maybe chuck it back up the inside himself. He's considering it.
He's having a look.
Speed.
The speed is there. I think wisely. Oh, goodness me. Delta in the braking there. Evidently a little better in the early phases. McGlade now going, come on, go a bit quicker as we go through 4 into 5. This is going to be interesting. We saw in race 1 a very clear differential in the amount of downforce being used. McGlade, he's really he's going, I'm going to go this way, going to go that way. I have to see how now Salo responds to having the pressure being put on. McGlade has led brilliantly to this point. Let's see if he's willing to put it on the line. Oh, down into 9. Oh, goodness gracious me. For me, there was a bit of overlap there. That could have been drama, but well maintained. Meantime, as Phil said just a moment ago, Nielsen is catching all the time. Half a second so far this lap alone. So if these two start to scrap, we might have a real fight going on. As we have a car spinning, that was our very own Simon Smith in the back marker brigade. Unfortunately, just having a little moment there through 12. But Salo now, as we go down into turn 13, he's getting a little more breathing room to McGlade as they now run down towards 14, 15 and 16. So we'll have to see what the gap is as they cross the start-finish.
Nineman still in 15th, getting that last point, although Schroten 16th is right. I'll say it correct one day, it's Niemann, as cameraman extraordinaire continually shouts at me. It's Schroten, I get that one right. Currently in 16th, coming down the back straight, looking at having a go for that final points paying position. He's going to go around the outside, and he just locked up. Just as he started to turn in, nearly had it, not quite.
Good to see there's plenty of scraps going on. As they cross the line, Salo had a 1 second advantage over McGlade, so I have to see if McGlade can respond. We're on the final lap at this point. It's unfortunately just come at that awful time where you're nearly there, and unfortunately there's just that extra lap to do. We'll have to see, you never know. Anything can happen, and it usually does. Just keeping an eye on what else has been going on. Unfortunately, another retirement. Sandeep Choda has retired from the race. By looks of it, Osgard has been able to get his Centurion car ahead of Thomas Jacobs on the last lap, down into the couple of last corners in Sector 3. And Nielsen, he's been able to take a little bit more time out of Lewis McGlade, but I think now that those two have stopped fighting, that Nielsen may have a little bit of an issue trying to gain anything more. Final points paying position is Ari Niemann again for Kajala Racing, although he has Mike Schroten not too far behind, so all sorts going on.
That gap's a little bit bigger now. I think 14th and 13th and 12th is probably where any kind of last minute swaps.
Yeah, so we now have, after an eventful race, plenty to discuss in a moment, I'm sure, but rounding turns 15, rounding turn 16 as Willis moves aside just to not interfere in any way, we have, what can only be said as the perfect start to this year. Unfortunate for Lewis McGlade, but Rasmus Salo in sterling fashion takes race 2 from Lewis McGlade, who drove a superb race there from the reverse pole, and finishing out and rounding out the podium we'll have Jesper Nielsen for Ice Cold Racing. So Salo, the first man to win both opening races here at Melbourne in Formula Challenge, and he's got a full maximum allocation of points coming away from round 1. So definitely a good day at the office there for Salo and Bastavik Grand Prix.
It's good race for Chepenik as well, getting a nice 4th again. So he's not done too bad in his first time in Formula Challenge. Who else we got? We got Thomas Jacobs in 6th. He lost a few places at the start, but made the recover back. Yep,
good drive.
And Thomas Hinds in 10th, Viking Racing. Nice, decent amount of points.
I'm sure he'd be pleased with that. Of course, being an Aussie himself, waking up very early is time for this one. So I'm sure that's going to be a good use of his morning. So well done to him. Let's quickly round out our top 15. We have winning Rasmus Salo from Lewis McGlade, Jesper Nielsen coming home in 3rd, Bruce Zupanek, in the Team Proline car coming home in P4, and Tommy Osgard in the Centurion Grand Prix car coming home in P5 again. Thomas Jacobs of Dogecoin, good day at the office for him as well, P6. Team of Alkajavi for YTF1 coming home in P7 with Whoopke Hoekstra, Tobias Olsen and Thomas Hinds rounding out our top 10. Adam Osgar comes home P11, Lars Brugman in P12 for Madcape, James Ross for Viking comes home in P13, so that's a double point score in fact for Viking there, which is good stuff to see. And Bruno Sosa Ferreira, after a few moments in race 2 there, he comes home in P14, and rounding out the points, Ari Niemanen for Kajala Racing. So, goodness gracious me, all sorts of action throughout that race. Not a very different kind of race to race 1, I think it's fair to say. But there you go. When you're able to move your car, or just in general have a good car setup, have a nice balance between that top end speed and obviously having all the downforce you need to get round a course such as Albert Park here, you could really, really get a good start to the season. Well, Rasmus Salo, the literal definition of that, shown here tonight.
Yeah, a great evening. A few incidents, like I said, more than we would have hoped in race 2, but it's set itself nicely for the season. We see, Salo's definitely got the pace, and so does Strad. He was just very unlucky with that incident. Čepanik, he's there or thereabouts.
Absolutely.
Definitely one to watch. If I had to say one to watch now, I think based on those performances, I'm going to be keeping a close eye on him. Not simply because I had to ask him how to pronounce his surname, spelled ZSU Panic, or Čepanik. So I'll be keeping an eye on him this season, I think.
Absolutely. Plenty. This is the brilliant thing. The grid is just that close, and we've got some familiar faces, we've got some new faces, new teams as well. We genuinely are in for a superb year of Formula Challenge racing, and I'm looking forward to it personally immensely now. And this evening, what a superb start to the year. Absolutely. So we'll hopefully have some drivers joining us for interviews. I can already see one is ready and waiting in our waiting room. So we'll hopefully get him in a few moments' time. And yeah, goodness me, all sorts again action, a different form of action in race 2. But all in all, I must admit, having seen the pre-season test in Jerez, we could definitely see guys were quick. I think a really fascinating point, perhaps it is just Albert Park exposes this, is that we have clearly some different thoughts on how to set the car up, and well, we saw today. Well, it seemed that top speed certainly won the day anyway. So, that being said, very pleased to say we have our first interviewee of 2015 joining us. A superb race in race 2 and a very, very solid race 1 as well. Everyone, please do welcome Mr. Lewis McGlade. Superb racer, terribly unlucky at the end there. Talk us through it.
I mean, to start with qualifying, I had a bit of incident with some back markers. Then in race 1, I had a couple of incidents with a couple of people, and that, unfortunately, I threw Tom Jacobs off as well when I spun. So, apologies to you. But that put me in a great place for race 2. On pole position. And it's probably like the 4th or 5th time I've started from reverse grid pole, and the last time I did was last season at Abu Dhabi. And I knew the same thing was going to happen. And basically that was me lead most of the race, and then whoever catch me up at Abu Dhabi, it was Eric, of course. And here it was Rasmus. Rasmus was on such great pace. In fact, such great pace that I did my PB by 0.2 of a second, and he still caught me by half a second. I didn't have the pace to hold him back. When he got past, I tried really hard to not only keep up, but get back past. But then coming up towards 10, 11 and 12, I saw Smithy was off, and that kind of caught me out, and that really broke the gap between me and Rasmus. But Rasmus was totally on it, so I can't be sad that I finished second. I thought, my driving race 2 was pretty good, a little slow at the start, but all in all was a fairly decent drive, and hopefully we can carry this on. I've started this season the same way that I ended last season on pace-wise, so I'm pretty happy.
Excellent stuff, and very gracious as well. And I must admit, when obviously the move happened, I was hoping it wouldn't happen, obviously given what has happened in the past, and yeah, it was really nice to see the scrap and everything else, and well, just in general, great race there, Lewis. Great to watch, and as you say, great place to start this year. Great to follow on from the success at the end of last year, and well, we've got some interesting races coming up. Very much look forward to seeing you put your pace on the track out there. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I think I'll introduce our other driver that's joined us. It's Ben Čepanik. He was third in race 1, and managed to get up to 4th in race 2. So a very nice race there. How was your evening? He's a little bit camera shy, Mr. Chupenik. Yeah, decent podium at the start. And how do you think your evening went?
Well, hi guys, sorry for struggling with the mic. Yeah, qualification was quite hard for me because of the last sector. I was faster with 1 tenth from the first, but I can do a perfect last sector. So only P9, but the start went great. I can move up some positions. First corners were really hard for me because of this huge and amazing field. So I need to battle with my teammate Sandeep and also with my friend Balind. That was a bit hard, but finally I could manage it and get a 3rd place. My first race, so I was quite happy with it.
It was a great drive, and in that in particular that first race, a lot of amazing action going on, and as you said, a very busy grid. What was it like being out there with so many other cars?
Well, I had experience with almost 20, 30 cars, but these 40 cars were so amazing field, and yeah, wheel-on-wheel drive, amazing. That was so amazing. Battle with them. The first 2, one of them was Rasmus, that they were UFOs. I don't know how to catch him in the next races, but I will try some new stuffs on the setup with Sandeep and try to fight for the
Excellent.
trophies.
Excellent, and that's what we like to see. We've got a long year ahead of us. Any tracks you're looking forward to at all at this point?
Yeah, of course, I like Bahrain, Canada, Montreal, and of course Hungary. These are the best tracks for me, and I'm quite maximalist, so I really want to be in the top 3 after the first season.
Excellent. Well, you've set yourself up very nicely after this evening's racing. We'll be keeping an eye on you most certainly in the up and coming races. So congratulations. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
Right, so unfortunately no other drivers have joined us, so I think, Phil, we should wrap up on what has been a very eventful and a very enjoyable first round of the Formula Challenge here. It really is set up very nicely for a truly legendary year of motorsport.
It is indeed, and as Chupenik said there, Bahrain, one of his favourite tracks, is our next race in a couple of weeks' time, I believe.
Indeed so, in 2 weeks, and yes, well, we'll be back. Good segue here. We'll be back for the next round of Formula Challenge in 2 weeks' time. We'll be at the Sakir circuit. A very bumpy but very quick track. A very challenging circuit to drive on. And we will be able to keep track of all the action there in 2 weeks' time. We'll have another broadcast just like this one. What I will say, though, in the meantime, we, of course, do have plenty of other races going on. We have Super Cup and Super League round Melbourne as well. Be sure to keep an eye out for those both tomorrow and on Thursday. And as before, plenty of racing to be had this year. You've seen what Formula Challenge is like. If you're interested, head on over to GPVWC.com and sign on up and get involved. So, someone I will bring in at this point, who's been very kindly doing the camera work for us, is Mr. Cameron Brewster. Cam, what did you make of all that tonight? Quite a lot to keep an eye on.
I was very impressed. Without trying to sound negative to last year's competition, I think tonight was a lot cleaner than what we've perhaps come to expect at certain races based off last year. But the pace of Salo and what Strahan showed before his incident was a little bit frightening. And I feel massively sorry for Lewis. Second is still great, but I mean, I whispered to you guys during that race, I know exactly what he's feeling with a fairly decent lead and just seeing a faster guy. You just can't say, I'm going to chew that car, and then go past. But no, great racing from everyone.
I've never had that feeling.
Well, I think that's quite nicely summed up. Phil, any final thoughts from you tonight?
I think you're right. Strahan and Salo are the two two main people to keep an eye on. But there were a few characters out there. I mean, Penic being one that if they slip up, they're going to be waiting in the wings, ready to take advantage of it. So a tight midfield battle is going to keep us going throughout the whole season.
Absolutely, and as I've said many times, it is that close. It really is. Definitely a mark has been put down, in particular by Rasmus Salo. I mean, you cannot get a better start than 2 race wins out of 2. So we'll have to see how he responds, how the field responds. You'll be able to find out in 2 weeks' time in the next round of Formula Challenge. So, if anyone wants to say their goodbyes, feel free to do so now.
I would say I've been Philip Morby, and thanks for being with us.
I've been Cams, so yeah, see you later, guys.
And I've been Matthew Chilgwin. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, guys. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time for the next round of Formula Challenge.